Hello, everyone. Good morning, wherever you are, or afternoon, since we are global now, which is so fun. Uh, I got Fry a new toy bucket, and he is not sure about it. His pineapple bed needs to be rewashed. It was extra super duper dirty, and it was just no good. So he is still somewhat mad at me, but he also was playing catch outside with his potato turd toy, so he is also tired. He is, getting up at 4 means it's almost, 5 hours in for him, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm gonna take a nap now." Good morning, Eris. Thank you for being you and doing all the Modly stuff. Good morning, Reindeer, and thank you for listening. Good morning, Squab Bob and Squid Pro Quo and Kim and Jude. Happy to have you all here. I will be to change things up and kind of get out of my comfort zone and do a little bit of, new peopling. I will be redirecting you guys to Recovery Attic. Uh, Still love Dave, but just trying to do new peopling thing out of my comfort zone. Holy cow, is it out of my comfort zone? I am not a new peopling person, which is why when I advise you to tell people to, give someone a compliment, it is as much advice to you guys as it is to me, as a challenge to myself. Good morning, cool gamer and Peter A. Yes, I have heard nothing but great things about Recovery Attic, but again, it's peopling, it's new peopling. Uh, you know, Being goofy with wigs and, having no dignity, super easy. New peopling, hard pass for me. JK Buck, good morning. Greedy Bloke, good morning. Alternate Juror, good morning, everyone. So we have a lot of news. In New York, stay out of New York, allegedly. Squabob, you are right. As Bob Barker used to say, spay or neuter your cat, or really any cat. Yes. Look, be a responsible pet owner if you are going to be a pet owner. If you do not, uh, if you do not have the knowledge to breed animals, have letting your dog have them and then putting more puppies out there or kittens and, people don't know how to take care of them. It's mean and it's not very responsible, says the woman with 6 children. Look, glass houses, stones. I don't know. Any hoozle, possibly stay out of New York. Police officers were allegedly beaten by a rowdy migrant mob near Times Square, with suspects later freed without bail. My shock. Shocking video, which of course isn't the video here. Look, New York Post. I am not the greatest tech person. In fact, look, I have no technical skills. But might I admonish you? Might I give you advice? Possibly have the video related to the story as your front stinger. I don't know. Shocking video captured the moment a migrant mob pounded a pair of cops near Times Square over the weekend. The busted cowardly suspects were still released and back on the streets without bail, sources say. So here's my issue. Again, I think every single one of us would like to see maybe as it was sold, as it was allegedly, trotted out, criminal justice reform. So if there was a young person who maybe had a little bit of a doob on him or, was maybe driving recklessly, he didn't, or she, or, Squidward, whatever, they wouldn't wreck their entire lives. What it has morphed into is apparently the purge. And this is ridiculous. The footage shows an NYPD officer and lieutenant initially telling the group of people or the migrants to move on around 8:30 p.m. Saturday on West 42nd Street in Manhattan before things quickly get rowdy as a scuffle breaks out between cops and suspects who is wrestled to the ground. Or a suspect who is wrestled to the ground. That's when the rest of the punks converge. New York Post, I think you might have a little bit of an opinion on this one, which I'm okay with, I'm just saying. Converge on the officers, raining kicks to the head and body to the pair of New York's finest as the cops rumble with their pal, whose yellow t-shirt is completely torn off in the melee. The video shows the two officers left on the ground as the pack run east on 42nd Street towards 7th Avenue and gets away, though not for long. Police initially busted 4 of the asylum-seeking thugs identified by sources as Darwin Andreas Gomez Ezequiel, 19, Kelvin Sevrat Arocha, 19, Juarez Wilson, 21, and Yorman Revieron, 24. No, this is called... Look, I think I speak for the rest of the people that are politically homeless and just dead plain tired of stupid when I say these people are not asylum seekers. These people have now committed 2 crimes, lying about asylum and being total dill holes. Trebuchet back. In fact, I have a perfect destination. Please make me Judge Judy on the immigration courts. Dear Grandpa Joe Biden, I am available to be a judge. No, I don't have any qualifications, but I can make quick decisions, and I know you have a backlog. And I'm no nonsense. I'm going to get raided. All 4 were charged with assault and released without bail, because of course they were. A 5th suspect, Johan Bodea, 22, was arrested Monday night and charged with attempted assault of a police officer, and I'm sure he's walking free right now. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office said it was still investigating the incident and reviewing additional footage of the alleged assault. The 2 assaulted cops, who were not identified, suffered minor injuries and were treated at the scene. One sustained cuts to the face while the other had bruising to the body, according to sources. One of the men, Rivieron, had 2 open cases in Manhattan already for assault and robbery. My shock, you can't imagine. Hello, Shizzy Raiders, Farrell and Kim and Judge Maddie and Shizzy. Hello and welcome. In November, he allegedly, quote, pushed, punched, and bit, end quote, a Nordstrom Rack employee who caught him lifting a $130 item from a Union Square store display rack, according to law enforcement sources. Okay, I can't read any more of this without wanting to learn how to weld. And I already have a Ford Transit, and I think you know where I'm going with this, potential story. But, let's continue with the mini board of truth, but it would look something like this, We would just add wheels, but fortified. I'm just saying, add one of those things where the trains use it to clear off the leaves and all the snow. I'm just saying. Definitely going to be on. Look, to the Fed watching this is a joke. If you don't get humor, get a helmet. It's going to be a rough ride. In other news, they found the Jackie Robinson statue burned and destroyed because people are jerks after theft from the youth baseball field. The Jackie Robinson statue, stolen from a youth baseball field in Wichita, Kansas, was found beyond repair Tuesday, with remaining pieces in flames on the opposite side of the city. The bronze fixture belonged to League 42, a program in honor of the number Robinson wore when he became the first Black player in the Major League Baseball, league. After the figure was cut at the ankle and hauled away late January 24th, the city estimated the damages to be $75,000. Wichita police described the community as quote unquote devastated and asked the public's help in locating the thieves. On Tuesday morning, the statue was located when police were called to the scene of a dumpster fire. I'm just saying. At Garvey Park in North Wichita, responders extinguished the blaze and discovered pieces of the sculpture in smoke. League 42 was founded by Executive Director Bob Lutz in 2013, who hoped to lower baseball's barriers to entry for all local children. The program hosts about 600 kids in a baseball league and allows them to participate in educational courses. Lutz was inspired by Robinson's legacy, and the baseball legend's likeness stood as a welcoming beacon to the program's multiple fields at North Wichita's McAdams Park. Lutz spoke to a news conference on Tuesday saying the organization will look to replace the sculpture. While the remains are not salvageable, the piece can be duplicated. It was built by the late artist John Parsons, who left behind a mold of the work after sculpting it by hand. It took Parsons 2 years to create the statue, which was installed in 2021. Yeah, Squid Pro Quo. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna go a little Dale Gribble here, okay? So let me put my conspiracy hat on. I really do need to get a tinfoil hat or make one. But, and I didn't put this story in my queue because it's a little too serious and I wanted to actually do a full video of it. But if you've noticed popping off in the news here all today, or in the last 24 hours, you've got the QAnon guy with the father, the federal father. You've got I didn't even know there was the, Caucasian Lives Matter group. I've never heard of them. Somehow the Patriot Front gets to walk around. They never get caught by the police. But you've got this, and now for no reason, you've got a very public attack on the first African American, player. And look, it could be that none of this is related, and I am just making total, I'm just seeing things come together and I'm going a little Alex Jones. They're putting, fluoride in our water to shrink our, telepathic gland in our brains. I mean, it could be that I'm going like that, but it does seem a little interesting that all these stories are popping up just as a certain Orange Man Bad is crushing a certain microwaved potato in chief. Those are just my thoughts. Feel free to disagree. Like I said, it's my conspiracy hat's thoughts. It's totally weird. But, he is fighting to get our Snickers bars back together. Or he is fighting to get our Snickers bars back to their original size. And I for one am okay with that. We are going to move forward here and not look back. Today is a day where we know what's ahead of us, and we're going to confront that head on, Lutz said. The statue that reappears at McAdams Park will be the work of John Parsons. Wichita police continue to investigate the theft. Surveillance video was released Thursday evening and showed at least 2 people in the act of tearing down the statue and placing it in a truck that was later found abandoned. Quote, "There will be arrests, but we're going to make sure that when we do, we have a solid case." I mean, after watching the Sadie interview, that would be lovely for a change. Wichita Police Chief Joe Sullivan said, so for those of you who are in any way involved in this, that means whether you're involved with stealing the statue, whether or not you accepted the statue, you recorded the destruction of the statue, it is only a matter of time. It would be in your best interest that you simply turn yourself in. I'm going to add a caveat to this. And you are still total dill holes, and I don't approve of anything you did, and you're still absolute jerks, and, you know, the boils on the butt of humanity. That being said, when you do turn yourselves in, have your lawyer with you. Y'all need some sneakers? California man arrested after Nike products worth $5 million are found in a warehouse. Look, he doesn't know how they got there, and he wasn't there when all these shoes happened to be there. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Los Angeles police allege Roy Lee Harvey Jr., 37, is responsible for receiving, distributing, and reselling a high dollar amount of stolen property. I thought that was legal in California. I thought that was just the new business model. I mean, am I wrong? I know it's only, they don't charge people or they don't make police reports under $900. Allegedly. Oh, sorry. Yes, allege. And I get it, it's all in this. A California man has been arrested in connection with a massive organized retail theft ring after officials found a warehouse stashed with $5 million worth of stolen Nike merchandise. Roy Lee Harvey Jr., 37, was arrested Saturday and booked on a charge of receiving stolen property, Los Angeles police said in a news release. Detectives executed 2 search warrants on Saturday, one in Hollywood and another at a warehouse in Hawthorne, where Harvey was, quote, seen delivering stolen Nike products, police said. Detectives, along with Nike's global security director, searched the warehouse and found thousands of pairs of stolen Nike shoes, clothing, accessories, and, quote, unique prototypes, end quote, worth $5 million, the police said. Officials shared photos of the warehouse revealing shelves seemingly endlessly stocked with boxes of shoes, including highly coveted Nike sneakers and Dunk shoes. Quote, it's believed Harvey Jr. is responsible for receiving, distributing, and reselling a high dollar amount of stolen property. Police said in the release, it's not immediately clear whether he has a lawyer or how many other people were involved in the operation. Anyone with information about the investigation is asked to call the police commercial crimes division, and you guys can look up the number. I will tell you that I got my first and only pair of Nikes. Again, I was a kid. My mom worked really, really hard, but she was a single mom. And we stopped at an outlet Nike store, and I was so excited. And I wore the heck out of those, but I didn't really notice the difference. But I was so proud to have my first pair of like pink and white Nike shoes, and I wore the absolute heck out of them. Now, being as the fact that I had the absolute, you know, social brilliance of having the headgear and my awkward self, it didn't really. eh, you know, some days you're good, some days you eat a Reese's cup for breakfast. It's balance. Um, yeah, so let's just say the Nikes did not have the intended effect of making me more popular with the cool kids. So Nikes do not make you cool. Found out hard way. In an update to one of the stories that we covered before, where this particular lovely lady, who may be a top contestant for our resting bee face, she set up her mother and sister to look like her sister unalived her mother, um, to gain, well, monetary gain, basically. Um, she has been sentenced. So let's see what she got for this. Woman who staged mother and sister's death as a murder-suicide has been sentenced. The woman convicted of shooting her mother and sister to death and staging the scene as a murder-suicide has been sentenced to life in prison after jurors convicted her in a retrial. Megan Harrigan, 41, was ordered on Friday to serve 2 consecutive life sentences for first-degree murder and 6 years for 2 counts of use of a firearm in a commission of a felony, the Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney announced. I think that's fair. I mean, this was purely for greed. This was purely for greed. Her mother had been helping her out for a long time, and her other sister was getting ready to get married. Her mother graciously decided to, help her other sister buy a house. This ticked off Megan to no end because she had been very fiscally irresponsible. She had a lot of debt, and her mother said, "No, I'm not going to help you out. You're a big girl. You have to deal with your debt yourself." That ticked her off to no end. So instead of being a responsible, 40-ish year person, she decided to set up her sister Helen to look like she unalived herself and her mother. And unfortunately, she did it as Helen was on the phone with her fiance. As previously reported, Megan Harrigan was living with her sister Helen Harrigan at the home of her mother, Pamela Harrigan, 63, in McClellan, Virginia. The defendant, however, was angry that Pamela was financially helping Helen and not her with buying a house, authorities said. On July 13th, 2017, she attempted to transfer up to $400,000 from her mother's bank account, but it was flagged as fraud. The next day, using her husband's force multiplier, Long Style, she unalived Pamela Harrigan and Helen Harrigan while her own daughter, then 8, was home. I mean, the sickness of that is just beyond belief. For money. Helen Harrigan was upstairs when Megan unalived Pamela. Frightened and sobbing, she called her fiancé, who was in Texas. The man testified in the first trial. He implored her to leave, but she was worried for Megan Harrigan's daughter. He then began receiving strange texts from Helen's phone in which the author wrote that everything was fine. "I'm not mad at Megan," a text stated. The fiancé said he believed that Megan was impersonating Helen. The defendant attempted to set up the crime scene to make it seem like Helen had been the one to kill Pam before self-deleting, authorities said. The jury in the first trial convicted defendant Harrigan, but her attorney successfully convinced a judge to throw it out because one of the jurors allegedly tested whether Helen Harrigan could have possibly used the force multiplier to unalive herself. An affidavit signed by a defense investigator said the juror stated she was unable to figure out a way that the sister could have self-deleted with the implement because of how long the particular implement was, how much it weighed, according to the Washington Post. Prosecutors once again had to prove Megan Harrigan's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and they managed to convince a second jury last year that she carried out both of the unalivings. Megan Harrigan's actions in July 2017 go beyond what most of us can imagine, Commonwealth's attorneys Steve Descano said on Friday. On a quiet Friday morning in her mother's home, she made an irreversible decision, one that would devastate her family and tear the community apart. First-degree murder is the most serious offense you can be convicted of in Virginia, and today's sentence reflects the gravity of the defendant's crime. Yeah, it's just to have her own daughter in there, and I didn't know that little piece. It's just monstrous. Ma'am, I hope that your daughter gets all the help she needs to deal with this, and you are a butt monkey. In other news, what in the world? The worst kind of evil family. I have some good stories at the end. Just hang tough. We've got good aminal stories. I did find some. Uh, Animal says sentence for samurai sword wielding man who beheaded daughter not harsh enough. A California man learned his fate this week for samurai sword attack of the mother of his child in the middle of the street. I cannot with this. Jose Rafael Rafa Solano Lendeta, 34, was sentenced on Tuesday to 26 years to life in prison with a possibility of parole. Are you flipping kidding me? For the love of flapjacks. I have a suggestion. When I get nominated to the Supreme Court, they're really going to have to expand Snake Island. For the unaliving, or the September 8th, 2022, unaliving of Karina Castro, 27. Castro's grandmother called Lendeta a monster and the worst kind of evil, the Bay Area's KRON reported. The victim's father, Martin Castro Jr., said the punishment was not enough. NBC Bay Area affiliate KNTV reported. This is exactly how I felt, he said. It's not enough. California is insane as far as that goes. I don't understand. If he had used a force multiplier, he would get life without parole. He butchered her, and they're giving him a light sentence because he did not use a force multiplier. Judge Lisa Novak upbraided the defendant, the outlet reported. Quote, this is by far the most difficult trial I have ever presided over because of the horror of the crime you committed in butchering Karina Castro, Novak said. I have no discretion, so it is a sentence based on the verdict of the jury. What the community needs to understand is that this incredible act of violence is not related to untreated mental illness. At least she put that in there. And good morning, Rossman Ranch. Yeah, January is going out with a bang. I will put this up. And guys, I will be doing a review video of January because I was going to wait for the whole year to do a review video, but I realized if I do that, well, January is just chock full of crazy. We're going to have no room. Thank you, John, for your super chat. So I will be working on that. And as Sarah Boone has a new letter, so I will definitely be doing that one as Sarah, of course. So we have all the videos to work on. I'm going to write an adult film called Snake Island. Y'all, again, conspiracy hat time, but I blame CERN, not Baker's CERN, but capital C, capital E, capital R, capital N, the collider. I think that they split the fabric of time. I think we ended up in the stupid dimension. I don't know how we ended up in Cloud World dimension, but somewhere on the other timeline, everything is normal. Like things are going along fine. Things make sense. Cats and dogs are friends. Fry is a Pomsky. Things are completely normal. Oh, for the love of it. This guy is right on Snake Island, where he should be. His defense attorney said the unaliving was self-defense. How in the actual moldering stink fest of a defense is it self-defense? Did you talk to Gareth Persau's lawyer? I am all in the what in the name of Swiss cheese. I'm really trying not to curse. Good morning, Puffer Smiles. I am really, really trying not to curse. I try to get it all out on Shizzy's stream so I can be a good non-cursing person during daylight. Saying he had not been taking medication for chronic paranoid schizophrenia, and the fault for that is who? KNTV reported he was found guilty in November of first-degree murder, according to San Mateo County District Attorney's Office. As Law and Crime reported, the shocking daytime slaughter occurred on the corner of Laurel Street and Magnolia Avenue in the suburb of San Carlos, about 45 miles south of San Francisco. Solano has never denied what he did. In an interview from the jailhouse, he told San Francisco-based ABC affiliate KGO-TV reporter Dan Noyes he feared for his life because Castro grabbed a weapon of her own on the day in question. I'm going to need to see a side-by-side. I say it all the time. Because I try not to look, I curse like a sailor when I am at home. Because look, the F word is multifaceted in our linguistic use of it. But, and when my kids aren't around, because I love it, because, you know, FFS, when you drop something or things happen, it has, you know, a certain impact that, you know, for flip's sake, doesn't, like when you drop something on your foot. But when I'm out in public and I do have my, you know, holy roller skirt on, I try not to, you know, I try not to give people heart attacks by looking semi-Pentecostal and sounding like I just got off a Marine base. So, there's a difference. Quote, he said she emerged from the driver's side of her Volkswagen with the knife in hand and kind of marched toward him with this knife, he recalled in a debriefing with colleagues after he left the San Mateo County Jail. And he claimed that he swung the sword in self-defense. Again, you're just carrying around a samurai sword? Make it make sense. Evidence during the trial showed that the unaliver and the mother of two had been increasingly angry with each other in the days leading up to the attack. According to local CW affiliate KRON, a defense attorney even characterized their relationship as quote-unquote toxic. Castro accused her ex-boyfriend of being a person who likes young children and a rapist in a series of private social media messages. In response, Solano sent a series of ninja emojis, and the animated man even had swords on their backs. That sounds like premeditation. Quote, the body part was underneath the car. She was laying in the back of the car, just severed. Neighbor Chapel Thornborn told KGO-TV, and they covered her up. Witnesses saw the two in a verbal altercation on the street before the violence occurred. Castro's okay, no, look, you guys, I have been struggling lately with how I feel about the unaliving penalty. Sir, if I were the judge, and you need to be very lucky that I am not a judge, I would let the family have you for 5 minutes. I'm just saying. You did this in front of your children. You are a coward. You are spineless. and you are terrible. And you know what? Everyone has stuff in their past. Everyone has mental stuff that they're dealing with. It doesn't give you the right to abuse, hurt, or cause injury or pain to other people. I don't know where we've gotten this idea that, your problems means that you can inflict problems on other people. What in the actual Schnell are you doing, Fry? Oh, for the love of all that is holy. I've got a contortionist dog. Well, yeah, he's being very polite. He's keeping his bits and pieces off the internet. I you guys, I don't know. I even talked to the lady I got him from the rescue litter, and I was like, "I would really like the calmest, most, polite dog you have," and she's like, "I've got you. I've got you." I think she was maybe fibbing with me. I think I got the most feral of the pack. She was like, "No, no, I've got you. It's this one." I think she was fibbing. I think she was like, "This one needs to go." He's being very polite. He's a little shy now. He has oriented his junk away. Just for Dennis Heaton, who is not here, but he is not feeling good. So keep him in your thoughts because he is not feeling good. And he is so funny and always comes in and makes me smile. So I hope he gets to feeling better. So yeah, I cannot finish this story because look, I will start dreaming up more imaginative things to punish this man and probably get yeeted from YouTube. In happy news now, Groundhog Day's biggest star is Phil, but the holiday's deep roots extend well beyond Puxatawny. I don't know. All I ever remember was just the groundhog. I never knew that there was really anything more about it. Kutztown, Pennsylvania. The spotlight will be on Gobbler's Gobbler's Knob. I am too much of a 12-year-old to read that. In western Pennsylvania, early Friday morning, when handlers of a groundhog named Puxatawny Phil will announce whether he saw his own shadow and predict 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring. Thousands are expected to attend the annual event that exploded in popularity after the 1993 Bill Murray movie Groundhog Day. It's part of a tradition rooted in European agricultural life, marking the midpoint between the shortest day of the year on winter solstice and the spring equinox. It's also the time of the year that figures in the Celtic calendar and the Christian holiday of Candlemas. I didn't even know we had a Candlemas, but I like candles, so I might look into it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't involve buying a bunch of candles. I'm going to go ahead and guess. Yeah, if I could find a place that was just about 70 degrees all the time, because I am not a person. Well, that's what happens when you lay in. He's like, who pushed me over? It was a crime. Someone pushed me over. Damn you, gravity. Probably not. They probably smell like frankincense and myrrh. In eastern and central Pennsylvania, where people of German descent have been watching the groundhog's annual emergence from hibernation for centuries, there's a tradition of groundhog clubs and celebrations that are independent of Phil. Some dismiss the Puxatawny event as an unworthy rival to their own festivities, which they say forecast more accurate weather predictions. There have been weather predicting groundhogs in at least 28 U.S. states and Canadian provinces, and less formal celebrations far and wide. One thing it is not: serious business. Quote, "We know this is silly. We know this is fun," said Marcy Galando, executive director of Puxatawny Groundhog Club. "We want people to come here with a sense of humor. What are the holidays' origins? I had no idea. I just figured it was a reason to drink. But look, as a former Catholic, that's generally what we did anyway, so. Celtic people across Europe marked 4 days that are midway between winter and solstice, or the winter solstice, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and the fall equinox. What the Celts called Imbolc is also around when Christians celebrate Candlemas, timed to Joseph and Mary's presentation of Jesus at the Temple of Jerusalem. Okay, so it's not about buying candles. Ancient people would watch the sun, stars, and animal behavior to guide farming practices and other decisions, and the practice of watching animals emergence from winter hibernation to forecast weather has roots in similar German traditions or tradition involving badgers or bears. Pennsylvania Germans apparently substituted the groundhog, endemic to the eastern and midwestern United States. Historians have found a reference in an 1841 diary to groundhog weather forecasts in early February among families of German descent in Morgantown, Pennsylvania, according to the late Don Yoder, a University of Pennsylvania professor, whose 2003 book about Groundhog's Day, or I always want to call it groundhogs. Look, I'm Midwestern. We add an S and ranch dressing to everything. Explored the Celtic connection. Yoder concluded the festival has roots in, quote, ancient, undoubtedly prehistoric weather lore, end quote. Why is it celebrated in Punxsutawney? Because it's a fun name, dang it. Look, in small doses, it just reminds me of hippies, and I have a full-on Cartman aversion to hippies. They're just too people-y. I don't understand it. They want to ask you how you are and have conversations, and they're just too people-y. It's very weird. They want to talk to you. It's kind of like I'm here to get my stuff and tie-dye and leave. And they're like, "Hey, how you doing? What are you here? How you doing?" And I'm like, "Uh, I have my earbuds in." Punxsutawney is an area that Pennsylvania Germans settled and in the late 1880s started celebrating the holiday by picnicking, hunting, and eating groundhogs. Would you like my roasted groundhog? I'm sorry. It's. Would you like some stuffed groundhog? Stuffed with more groundhog? Oh, poor Punxsutawney Phil. At least you're here in. Members of Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, organized in 1899, care for Phil at a customized space beside Punxsutawney Memorial Library, where there's a window with a view into the creature's burrow. The Punxsutawney Groundhog makes predictions, but he's not always predictable. The designated groundhog emerged before sunrise in 1929, but didn't come out until late afternoon in 1941. The Bill Murray movie caused such a resurgence of interest that 2 years after it came out, the event's organizers voiced concern about rowdy crowds drinking all night, people climbing trees, and others stripping to their underwear. As you do. Look, I mean, what else are you? There was no cable in the 1880s. What else were you gonna do? And how else were you gonna get a groundhog coat? For the love of all that is holy. Oh no. I just read the next sentence. In 1998, a Groundhog Club leader wearing a $4,000 groundhog suit reported being assaulted by half a dozen young men. I don't know if he was like in a furry groundhog suit or he made a suit out of groundhogs. I feel like that sentence needs more clarity. Writer. Alcohol is now prohibited at Gobbler's Knob. Okay. Phil's spot, some 80 miles or 123 kilometers northeast of Pittsburgh. Does Phil have any competition? The early festivals in Puxatawny were followed in 1907 by folks in Quarryville, a farming area in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, southeastern corner. The roughly 240 members of the Slumbering Groundhog Lodge were there report the winter forecast from Octoro Orphy, or at least via his well-preserved remains. The more I read about this, the more I want to go see the well-reserved. I want to see the taxidermied. What in the actual heck am I reading? Thank you so much for the net. Why didn't they teach me this in school? I would have been much more interested in Groundhog's Day. Had they taught me all of this, this would have been so interesting. I wanted to teach history in high school. I was wanting to do high school history. Uh, thank you again for your super chat, John. Yeah, I'll never look at Quaker Oats again the same. Let's see. The Pennsylvania Game Commission says about 36,000 hunters report unaliving more than 200,000 groundhogs last year. Game Commission spokesperson Travis Lau found groundhogs a bit stinky to clean with thick skin. Well, I'm glad to know it. Quote, it was actually really good, no doubt about it, and to my taste, more like beef than venison is. You're not going to eat the bugs, you're going to eat the groundhogs, y'all. Lau said the whole family ate it and liked it, and everyone had apprehension. Some cooks advise groundhogs are best taken when they are young and after clover isn't. I don't want to eat Puxatawny Phil. I feel like giblets. What in the actual heck am I reading? I was gonna read a feel-good story, and now it's like how to roast your family groundhog. Y'all come here for roadkill again. Giblets. Oh my gosh. What did I step into here? When did clubs and lodges spring up? Starting in the 1930s, groundhog lodges opened in eastern Pennsylvania. They were social clubs with similarities to Freemasonry. Oh my God, now we're bringing in the Illuminati. It's all connected. Intended to preserve Pennsylvania German culture and traditions, clubs would sometimes fine those who were caught speaking anything but their Pennsylvania Dutch language at meetings. They were traditionally all male groups, and 15 such clubs remain active. They all share the unifying feature of a groundhog weather prognostication, and William W. Donner, look, that's what it says. Kutztown University. YouTube, it is the name. Wait, they have a Kutztown University next to Gobbler's Knob. I am living in Pennsylvania. I'm going to go near that. I'm going to make my kids go to this university. Or at least I'm getting a t-shirt. This sounds awesome. Anthropology professor and author of Serious Nonsense, a book about such lodges and other efforts to preserve German heritage. I think it's just one of these traditional rituals that people enjoy participating in that may take them away from modern life for 15 minutes, Donner said. Will Phil get it right this year? Well, I hope he does. They might eat him if he doesn't. Some well-meaning efforts have sought to determine Phil's accuracy, but what, quote, 6 weeks of winter means is debatable. Claims that a groundhog has or has not seen its shadow and what it's able to communicate to a human are also fair territory for skeptics and the humor impaired. By all accounts, Phil predicts more winter far more than he predicts an early spring. Groundhogs are mostly solitary creatures who start to emerge in midwinter to find a mate. The science behind whether they can make any accurate weather predictions is problematic at best. Among skeptics is the National Center for Environmental Information. Okay, no crap, Sherlock. He's not a meteorologist. He's an animal looking for a lady animal. And y'all, I'm going to be really ticked off if they don't let Phil find a Phyllis some years, cuz that's just mean. I hope they don't eat the cubs though. God, for the love of all that is holy, what is wrong with this? Okay, in a more heartwarming story, I hope, because I don't read these stories beforehand, maybe I should. Most loving dog spends months waiting in a Georgia shelter, then a familiar face shows up. After months in a Georgia shelter, a beloved dog will get a new home with an old friend. A smiling Kano was met with a tight embrace when he and his former owner were reunited in DeKalb County, according to photos shared by Atlanta-based Lifeline Animal Project. The Carolina, I don't know why I had Carolina in my head. Georgia woman described Kano as the best, most loving dog and said his sweet homecoming was months in the making. I knew in my soul he needed me. It's like he's calling me somehow, she told the shelter. I know it sounds crazy. Known as Skillet to his shelter friends, Kano was raised by the woman's son in the Blue Ridge Mountains since he was a 6-week-old puppy, according to the shelter. However, the family was forced to give him up after the son enlisted in the army and other commitments arose. Months later, the woman said a gut feeling told her it was time to bring Kano home. I just had an intuitive sense I needed to look for him, she told the shelter. I randomly started looking online one night and found another dog that looked like him. I found the Lifeline website and started going through it, and there he was. The woman says she has a new house with a fenced-in backyard for Kano to run and play. Her son, who is preparing to be deployed, hasn't seen Kano in person yet, but both are always excited to see each other on FaceTime, she told the shelter. It's like it all came back together, the woman said. I still feel guilt, but I hope he knows I feel love for him. I know, I'm just saying. Look, as a person with a lot of German ancestry, it's wow. I know. Come on. I'm Gobbler's Knob, if you are not making these t-shirts, you are missing out on marketing opportunities out the yin yang. I'm just saying. Now I know they're a bit blue, they're a bit off color, but it'd be hilarious. Just, you know, it'd be hilarious. And in our final story, I have never been to a chiropractor. I am thinking about it, but something about the whole cracking the spine thing really freaks me out. Okay, no. Nope. All I can think is I'm going to end up a quadriplegic. No, thank you. Fifth Avenue chiropractor treats ballerinas, rockettes, and barnyard animals. Oh, he's even helping a little doggo. He's got back-to-back appointments, pun intended. I'm going to fine you for that, New York Post. I really am. I'm going to send you a cease and desist at some point. For decades, Manhattan chiropractor Doug Willen has treated some of the city's top bodies, including Rockettes and professional ballerinas such as Misty Copeland, in his Fifth Avenue office. He specializes in medical aesthetics. That sounds made up. Manipulating the human form not just to feel better, but to look better, and charges $350 for a 45-minute visit. I am in the wrong profession. But in recent years, he's expanded his client base to also include animals, both pets and barnyard creatures, such as cows and Clydesdales. I'm not even going to ask. It's become my hobby, my passion, and hopefully my future, the 59-year-old says in a video on YouTube where his @AnimalCracker Dr. Doug Willen account has 461,000 followers. A native Long Islander who grew up raising dogs, snakes, and iguanas, Willen has always loved animals, so in 2020 he decided to expand his practice to include over 17 different species, getting board certified through the American Veterinarian Chiropractic Association. There is such a thing. My real passion is working with medically challenged animals at nonprofits. I have so much fun volunteering, Willen, who regularly offers his services for free to animal sanctuary and rescue organizations, told the Post. While he often goes to the countryside to see his four-legged clients, they occasionally come to him. Last March, a large 16-year-old goat named Jasper traveled from rural New Jersey to Willen's Swank Suite in Manhattan for a jaw realignment. He was the largest animal ever to come in the office. Quote, he peed all over the floor. Goat pee smells so bad, Willen said. It's not like cat or dog pee that you can just mop up and the smell disappeared. It lingers because it's so strong. Okay, Rossman Ranch. As a person that, never dealt with larger animals, I guess it's not something I would consider, but okay. I will try to keep an open mind. Okay, he peed on your floor and you gave him cupcakes? I mean, alrighty. Not all animal patients make such a mess. Rookie, an obedient 12-year-old Yorkie poo and model from Sutton Place, was one of Willen's first non-human patients. The Hurricane Sandy rescue pup was brought to Willen's office by owner Christy Park, who had previously sought the chiropractor's help for a twist in her own back. When Rookie struggled with properly walking, sitting, and squatting, she brought him in. Dr. Doug said maybe it's not just the patella, maybe it's the hip joints. Park, the court stenographer, told the Post. He did a couple of adjustments, and now Rookie is walking and sitting a lot better. These days, both dog and owner are regular patients. It's great to be able to take Rookie with me to the chiropractor, said Park. Whether he's getting an adjustment or just coming with me during an appointment, it makes my life much easier. Willen makes a point of treating his animal patients, whose owners pay $200 to $250 for each session, with the utmost respect. Yeah, for $200, you better be really, really nice to my Frybert. I say, can I work with you today? He said, acknowledging that he can't actually converse with the creatures a la Dr. Dolittle. It helps me remember I'm working in service to them. They're probably scared S-less because they're in pain, and I'm about to stick my fingers right into that inflamed area. Not all creatures, great and small, are respectful to him. While he says he's usually able to get out of the way before a horse or bull kicks them, there have been times he hasn't been able to avoid injury. So does he go to his own chiropractor? I knew a kick to my leg was coming, but I also knew that if I continued to apply pressure to one spot in its back for 30 more seconds, I'd get a release. He said of working with one equine client. I was happy to make a sacrifice and help the animal. Well, he is very kind. Look, it still freaks me out. I'm going to be very honest. I don't know that this changes my idea. He seems like an exceptionally kind man, who is using his, knowledge to try to help people, but it still creeps me out. So, congratulations for him for trying to help the animals, but, yeah, it's still creepy to me. Now, thank you all for watching, and I'm glad I was able to end on some happy stories, except for the Groundhog's Day one, because I thought it was gonna be a good story. Nothing like your Groundhog's Day story biting you and roasting you, quite literally, in the butt. I will be sending you guys over to Recovery Attic. I love Dave still, but I am trying to get out of my comfort zone and try to really, Fry, at the end, you're just gonna bits everyone to pieces. For the love of all that is holy. And as Dennis is coming on, we're trying to make him feel better, not worse. For the love of all those Cheetos. Have a wonderful day. Say something kind to yourself. Say something kind to someone else. Maybe push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. Fry has no problem with that, of course. Have a lovely day. I will be working on several videos, and Fry will be working on his contortionism. He's going to go on America Has Talent someday. Have a great day, guys. Bye.